Dr. Park Ji-ho stared at his computer screen in the quiet SETI laboratory. The clock showed 3:15 a.m., but he couldn't sleep. Not with these strange signals appearing every night at exactly the same time. For 3 months, he had watched these patterns, trying to understand their meaning. He took another sip of his cold coffee and adjusted his glasses. The signals were too perfect, too regular to be natural. Someone or something was sending them, and they were getting stronger each night. This can't be right, he said to himself, checking his calculations again. The signal source was moving, and it was getting closer to Earth. He picked up his phone to call his research partner, Dr. Lee, but stopped. The lights in his lab suddenly went out. His computer screen stayed on, but now it showed different numbers and symbols he had never seen before. "Hello, Dr. Park Ji-ho," a voice said from his computer speakers. It spoke perfect Korean, but something about it felt wrong. "We have been watching your planet for a very long time." Park's hands shook as he reached for his phone again. Before he could grab it, his computer screen filled with images. He saw giant ships hiding behind the moon. He saw strange creatures walking through walls like ghosts, watching people in their homes. He saw records of human history, but from angles he had never seen before. Aliens had been recording everything. "Why are you showing me this?" Park asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Because you found us," the voice answered. "And because your species is becoming too dangerous." Park started recording everything on his phone. The world needed to know. "We're not dangerous," he said. "We just want to learn and grow." "That is exactly why you are dangerous," the voice said. "Your planet should not be able to support life. It is too harsh, too violent. Yet you humans not only survived but grew stronger. You adapt too quickly. You learn too fast. The harmony cannot allow this to continue." More images appeared. Spaceships were coming out from behind the moon, heading toward Earth. Park's hands moved quickly over his keyboard, sending emergency messages to every major space agency and government he could think of. "Sending messages will not help," the voice said. "The harmony has decided. Earth is too dangerous to be left alone." Park hit the final button, sending his last warning. "People will fight back," he said. "Yes, we know. That is why we must start with those who understand what is happening. Goodbye, Dr. Park Ji-ho." The air in the lab suddenly felt very cold. Park tried to stand up, but his legs wouldn't move. He felt a strange numbness spreading through his body. His last thought was of the message he had sent. He hoped someone would see it in time. Then everything went black. Park opened his eyes. He was sitting at his desk, his coffee still hot beside him. The clock showed 3:15 a.m. His computer showed the same signal patterns he had been studying. For a moment, he felt confused. Hadn't this already happened? He remembered the voice, the images, the warning. He remembered dying. He touched his chest. He was breathing. He was alive. But the memory of what had happened, or what would happen, felt completely real. His phone rang, making him jump. It was Dr. Lee. "Ji-ho." Dr. Lee's voice was shaking. "Something strange just happened. I think I died, but now I'm back, and I remember everything. The aliens, the ships, the warning." Park looked at his computer screen. The signals were still there, getting stronger. This time, he knew exactly what they meant. This time, he could do something about it. "Do-hyun," he said to Dr. Lee, "call everyone you can. I'll do the same. We have about 3 minutes before they make contact. And this time, we'll be ready." Outside his window, the stars looked different now. Park knew they weren't just beautiful lights in the sky anymore. They were hiding places for ships that wanted to destroy Earth. But now, humans had something the aliens didn't expect. They could come back from death, and they would remember everything. The clock moved to 3:16 a.m. The game was about to begin again. Commander Kim Tae-ri sat at her desk in the Global Defense Force headquarters, reading reports that made no sense. Soldiers were describing battles that hadn't happened yet. They talked about dying and coming back to life. At first, she thought it was stress from the alien attacks, but there were too many similar stories. "Commander," her assistant called through the intercom. "Dr. Lee Do-hyun is here to see you." "Send him in," she said, organizing the strange reports on her desk. Dr. Lee walked in quickly, carrying a tablet and looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Commander Kim, I need to show you something important," he said, placing his tablet on her desk. "It's about the respawning." Kim looked up sharply. "How do you know about that?" "Those reports are classified." "Because I've experienced it myself," Lee said. "Just like Dr. Park did. Just like your soldiers are reporting." He showed her a brain scan on his tablet. "This is what a normal human brain looks like." He swiped to another image. "And this is the brain of someone who has respawned." Kim studied the images. The second brain scan showed strange patterns she had never seen before. "What are those lines?" "Quantum patterns," Lee explained. "Every time someone dies and comes back, these patterns get stronger. It's like..." He paused, thinking of a simple way to explain it. "It's like our minds are making backup copies of themselves. When we die, our consciousness jumps back to a safe point in time." A loud explosion shook the building. Kim jumped up and ran to the window. In the distance, she could see one of the alien ships attacking the city's defense shields. "How many times have you seen this attack?" she asked Lee. "3 times now," he answered. "The first time, they broke through the shields in 10 minutes. The second time, we lasted 15 minutes because we knew where they would hit. This time..." He checked his watch. "We should be good for about 20 minutes." Kim walked back to her desk and pressed a button on her computer. "This is Commander Kim. All units, concentrate fire on these coordinates." She read out numbers that Lee had written on his tablet. "The enemy ship has a weak spot in its lower left section. Hit it there." They watched from the window as defense forces fired at the alien ship. This time, instead of bouncing off the ship's shields, the shots hit something important. The ship's lights flickered, and it started to fall. "How did you know?" one of her officers asked through the radio. "Because we fought this battle before," Kim said, "and we're learning from every defeat." She turned to Lee. "Tell me everything you know about this respawning. How does it work? Why is it happening now?" Lee showed her more data on his tablet. "We think it's because of how humans evolved. Earth is what the aliens call a death world, a planet that should be too dangerous for intelligent life. To survive here, humans developed something special in their brains, a quantum consciousness that refuses to accept death." Another explosion rocked the building, but smaller this time. The alien ship was falling apart in the sky. "So every time we die," Kim said slowly, "we come back with all our memories, all our knowledge of what went wrong." "Yes," Lee nodded. "And the aliens don't know how to handle it. Their worlds are peaceful and perfect. They never needed to develop anything like this. They don't understand how we keep coming back, how we keep getting better at fighting them." Kim looked at the reports on her desk again. Now they made sense. Each death was teaching them something new. Each respawn made them stronger. "Dr. Lee," she said, "I need you to help me set up a new kind of army. We need soldiers who have respawned, who remember the battles that haven't happened yet. And we need to find out just how many times we can come back." In the sky, the alien ship finally crashed. But they both knew more would come. This time, though, humanity would be ready. They had found their greatest weapon. Death itself couldn't stop them. Colonel Yoon Hae-nul walked down the underground bunker's main hall, looking at the soldiers gathered there. These weren't ordinary soldiers. Each one had died at least 5 times. Each one remembered battles that hadn't happened yet. They were humanity's best hope. "Listen up," Yoon said, standing in front of the group. "Today we start something new. We are the Respawn Task Force. Our job is to use our deaths to save others." Captain Choi Maisu stepped forward. She had died 12 times already, more than anyone else in the room. "Sir, I've learned something important from my last death. The aliens have a pattern in their attacks. They always hit the same places first. Yoon nodded. Tell us what you've learned, Captain. Choi walked to the big screen on the wall and pulled up a map. The aliens think in straight lines. They attack in perfect order, like this. She drew lines across the map. But humans don't fight that way. We can be unpredictable. That's why we're winning some battles now. The soldiers watched closely. They all knew Choi's reputation. In her last life, she had destroyed 3 alien ships before they got her. Now she was back, ready to try again. But there's more, Choi continued. Each time we die and come back, we get better at remembering. The first time I respawned, I could only remember about an hour before my death. Now I can remember everything clearly. We're learning how to control it. A young soldier raised his hand. Is it true that it hurts less each time we die? Yes, Yoon answered. Our bodies are learning, just like our minds. The aliens don't understand this. They think death is the end. For us, it's becoming a tool. Suddenly, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed in the bunker. A voice came over the speakers. Alien ships detected. 3 vessels approaching Seoul. Yoon looked at his soldiers. This is what we've been training for. Captain Choi, take Team 1. You know where they'll attack first. Stop them. Yes, sir, Choi said. She turned to her team. Remember, if you die, come back and tell us what you learned. Every death is information we can use. The soldiers moved quickly to their positions. Through the bunker's cameras, Yoon watched them head out. He had seen many of them die before. He had died himself 4 times. But now death wasn't the end. It was just another way to learn. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Commander Kim. Colonel, Dr. Lee has found something new about the respawning. Some soldiers are starting to come back faster, almost instantly after death. The time gap is getting shorter. Yoon smiled. This was good news. The faster they could respawn, the better their chances of winning. He watched the screens as Captain Choi's team engaged the first alien ship. They moved perfectly, using everything they had learned from their previous deaths. The alien ship tried to dodge their attack, but Choi knew exactly where it would go. Her team had seen this movement before, in another life. They fired at the right moment, hitting the ship's weak spot. One of the soldiers died in the battle, but 10 minutes later he was back, running to rejoin his team. He had new information about the alien ship's shield patterns. This is how we win, Yoon said to himself, watching the battle. Not by being stronger or having better weapons. We win because every time they kill us, we come back smarter. The aliens had chosen Earth as their target because they thought humans were weak. They didn't understand that living on a dangerous world had made humans special. Death wasn't the end anymore. It was just the beginning of the next try. Dr. Kang Eunwoo stood in her laboratory, examining the alien body on her table. It was her 5th time studying this particular specimen. Each time she died, she came back with more knowledge, more understanding of how these creatures worked. The aliens have no natural defenses, she spoke into her recorder. Their bones are light and fragile. Their skin is thin. Everything about them shows they evolved on a world with no dangers. She carefully cut open the alien's chest. Its organs were simple and delicate, nothing like the complex systems humans had developed. Her assistant, Dr. Park Min-ji, took detailed notes. They're perfect, Kang said, looking through her microscope. Too perfect. Their cells show no signs of mutation or adaptation. They never needed to change. A screen on the wall turned on. Commander Kim's face appeared. Dr. Kang, what have you learned? Something important, Kang answered, moving to face the screen. These aliens, the Harmony, they're like flowers grown in a perfect garden. They never faced any challenges. Their worlds have no predators, no diseases, no natural disasters. That's why they fear us, Kim said. We're from a world full of dangers. Yes, Kang nodded. Look at this. She held up a sample of alien tissue. When I expose their cells to Earth's normal bacteria, they have no defense. Their bodies don't know how to fight back. They've never needed to. Suddenly, alarms started ringing. Red lights flashed. Warning, a voice announced. Alien forces detected in the research sector. They're coming for the specimens, Kang said. They don't want us learning about them. She quickly saved her data to a special computer that would survive even if the lab was destroyed. The wall exploded. 3 aliens walked through the hole, their bodies glowing with energy shields. They were tall and graceful, but their movements were stiff, predictable. Stop your research, one alien said in perfect Korean. You cannot be allowed to understand us. Kang stepped forward. I already understand you. I've died 4 times studying your people. Each time, I learn more. You can kill me again, but I'll just come back with even more knowledge. The aliens looked at each other. Kang could see confusion in their large eyes. They had never met a species that could learn from death before. Your existence is wrong, another alien said. Life should not evolve as yours has. You should have died out long ago. But we didn't, Kang replied. Earth made us strong. Every challenge made us adapt. Every danger made us smarter. Even death makes us stronger now. The aliens raised their weapons. Kang noticed something interesting. Their hands were shaking. These perfect beings from perfect worlds were experiencing fear, maybe for the first time in their species' history. Dr. Kang, her assistant whispered. The emergency teleporter is ready. No, Kang said quietly. Let them kill me. I need to see how their weapons work. I'll come back with more information. The aliens fired. In the moment before death, Kang carefully observed everything. The way their weapons worked, the energy patterns, the look of fear in their eyes. All this information would come back with her. When Kang opened her eyes again, she was back in her lab, 30 minutes earlier. The alien body was still on her table, waiting to be studied. She immediately grabbed her recorder. New information about Harmony weapons, she began. Their technology is advanced but predictable. And more importantly, I saw something in their eyes, something they've never felt before. She smiled. They're afraid of us. The perfect beings from perfect worlds are learning what fear feels like. Major Baek Sun-ho looked at his team of Special Forces soldiers. They had died together 23 times trying to capture an alien command ship. Each time, they learned something new. Each time, they got closer to their goal. This time will be different, Baek told his team. They stood in the dark cargo bay of their stealth ship. We know every guard position. We know every security code. We know exactly where their commander will be. The soldiers checked their equipment one last time. They all wore special suits designed by Dr. Kang's team, based on what she had learned from studying alien technology. Remember, Baek continued, our goal is their main computer. Dr. Lee says it contains information about why they really fear us, something more than just our ability to survive on Earth. Their ship moved silently through space, hiding in the shadow of the much larger alien command vessel. They had discovered this blind spot in the alien sensors after their 12th attempt. 3 minutes to contact, the pilot announced. Baek looked at each member of his team. Sergeant Kwon had died first in their last attempt, but his death had shown them how to bypass the ship's inner shields. Corporal Yang had discovered the location of the backup generators after her 3rd death. Every failure had taught them something valuable. The alien ship grew larger in their view screen. Its silver surface gleamed in the starlight. It was beautiful, perfect, like everything the aliens made. But that perfection was a weakness. They never changed their patterns. 1 minute, the pilot said. Baek pressed a button on his suit, activating the technology they had copied from the aliens. His team flickered and became almost invisible. Remember, he said softly, if you die, make it count. Learn something useful for the next try. Their ship attached to the alien vessel without a sound. They had finally perfected this approach after 17 failures. The airlock opened, and they moved in. The alien corridors were empty at first, exactly as they expected. They had memorized the patrol patterns. 3 steps forward. Wait 5 seconds. 2 steps left. They moved like dancers performing a well-practiced routine. Then they reached the central chamber. This was where they had died most often. The alien commander would be behind those doors, surrounded by guards. But this time was different. This time, they knew everything they needed to know. The doors opened. The alien guards turned, raising their weapons. But Bak's team was already moving, firing at exactly the right spots, using everything they had learned from their deaths. In 30 seconds, it was over. The alien commander stood alone, its perfect features showing confusion. "Impossible," it said in its musical voice. "Our security is perfect." "Perfect is predictable," Bak replied, moving to the main computer. "We learned that after dying here 23 times." The computer responded to the codes they had gathered over multiple lives. Secret files opened, revealing the truth the aliens had been hiding. "No," the alien commander said, real fear in its voice. "You cannot see that." But they did see it. They saw reports about other species the Harmony had discovered, species that had started showing signs of respawning after prolonged contact with humans. The aliens weren't just afraid of humanity's strength. They were afraid humanity's gift might spread. "We need to leave," Bak told his team, copying the files. "Now we know why they're so desperate to stop us. We're not just surviving their attacks. We're changing the rules of life and death for the whole galaxy." As they retreated to their ship, Bak smiled. For the first time, in 24 attempts, they would all survive this mission, and they had information that would change everything. The perfect beings from the perfect worlds had made a mistake. They had revealed their deepest fear. Now humanity knew the truth. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for the right of all species to become stronger through adversity. General Song Minna stood in the Global Defense Force Command Center, studying the holographic display of Earth's defenses. The information Major Bak's team had retrieved changed everything. Now they knew why the aliens were so afraid, and she had a plan to use that fear. Lieutenant Ryu Ji-won entered the command center, carrying reports from the latest battles. He had died 32 times in the past week, gathering intelligence from different sectors of the war. "General," Ryu said, placing the reports on her desk, "the strategy is working. Every time our soldiers die, they come back with more knowledge. The aliens cannot adapt to our changing tactics." Song nodded, examining the battle statistics. "How many soldiers have mastered the instant respawn?" she asked. "Over 5,000 now," Ray replied. "They no longer lose any time. The moment they die, they return to their chosen point with all their memories intact." The general walked to a large screen showing live feeds from around the world. Humanity's forces were pushing the aliens back. The perfect beings from perfect worlds had never faced an enemy that grew stronger with each defeat. "Show me the experiment results," Song ordered. Ryu activated another screen. It showed soldiers training with their new abilities. They could now choose when and where to respawn. Some had learned to bring back not just memories, but small objects from their previous lives. "The aliens were right to fear us," Song said, watching the footage. "We're not just surviving anymore. We're evolving. And our gift is spreading." Reports had come in from other worlds. Species that had contact with human prisoners were showing signs of the same ability. The Harmony's perfect universe was changing, all because of humanity's influence. A warning alarm sounded. The holographic display showed a massive alien fleet approaching Earth. "They're making their biggest push yet," Ryu reported. 10,000 ships. "They're desperate to stop us before more species learn to respawn." General Song smiled. She had been waiting for this. "Send the order," she said. "Operation Phoenix begins now." Across the planet, human forces moved into position. These weren't ordinary soldiers anymore. They were veterans of countless deaths, each one carrying the experience of multiple lives. "Lieutenant," Song said, "take your team and begin the sequence we planned. Die in each sector exactly as we discussed. Build the pattern." Ryu nodded and left. He and his soldiers would deliberately sacrifice themselves across specific points of the battle, each death carefully planned to gather crucial information about the alien fleet. Som watched as the battle unfolded. The aliens attacked in their perfect formations, their strategies flawless and unchanged. But humanity had learned to turn death itself into a weapon. Each time a soldier died, they came back with vital intelligence. Each respawn revealed another weakness in the alien defenses. The humans moved like water, flowing around the rigid alien formations, using their deaths to map every vulnerability. "Send the second wave," Som ordered. This time, the soldiers who attacked knew exactly where to strike. They had already died fighting these ships. They had memorized every weakness, every flaw in the alien defenses. The perfect fleet began to break apart. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could die 1,000 times and come back stronger. Their perfect strategies meant nothing against an opponent who could learn from every defeat. "General," Ryu's voice came through the command center speakers. "The pattern is complete. We've mapped their entire fleet through our deaths. Should we proceed with the final phase?" Song looked at the holographic display one last time. The aliens had come to Earth expecting to find weak creatures who needed to be eliminated. Instead, they had found something they never imagined, a species that had turned death itself into their greatest strength. "Begin the final attack," she ordered. "Show them what humanity has become." Ambassador Nam Haijin stood before the mirror in her quarters, adjusting her formal diplomatic attire. She had died 843 times, while learning about the Harmony's culture and customs. Each death had taught her something new about these perfect beings from perfect worlds. "Ambassador," her assistant called through the intercom. "The Harmony Council is ready to receive you." Nam touched the small device on her wrist, a gift from Dr. Park's research team. It recorded everything she experienced, preserving her memories even through death. She would need those memories today. The walk to the council chamber took exactly 7 minutes. Nam had memorized every detail of this path through hundreds of failed attempts. The pure white walls of the alien station gleamed around her. Everything here was perfect, orderly, and unchanging. 2 human guards walked with her, both veterans of multiple deaths. They knew exactly what to do if things went wrong again. The last time Nam had tried this meeting, she had made it halfway through her speech before being killed. This time would be different. The council chamber doors opened. 12 alien leaders sat in a perfect circle, their tall, elegant forms radiating disapproval. They had never allowed a human this close to their highest authority before. "You have been permitted to speak," the head counselor said in its musical voice. "Though we question the wisdom of this meeting." Nam stepped forward, precisely 3 steps. She had learned the exact distance that would show respect without submission. "Honored Council," she began, "I come before you having died 843 times to understand your people." The aliens shifted uncomfortably. They had never learned to accept how casually humans now spoke of death. "Through my deaths, I have learned your language, your customs, your art, and your history," Nam continued. "I have learned that you fear us not because we are strong, but because we are different. You fear we will change the perfect order you have created." "You are an aberration," one counselor said. "Your ability to return from death spreads like a disease to other species. You must be stopped." Nam smiled gently. "But that is where you are wrong. Our gift cannot spread to other species. Dr. Kang's research has proven this. What you have seen in other species is their own natural evolution. Life wants to grow stronger. Life wants to adapt." She took another carefully measured step forward. "Your fear of change blinds you to a simple truth. The universe is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to grow, to change, to evolve. Earth taught humanity this lesson through countless challenges. Now we offer to teach you." The head counselor stood, its perfect features showing confusion. Teach us. You dare to suggest that we, the Harmony, need teaching? Yes, Nam replied simply. Because for all your perfection, you never learned the most important lesson of all. Strength comes from overcoming challenges. You fear death because you have never learned from it. We have died countless times, and each death has made us wiser. She reached into her pocket and took out a small crystal, another gift from Dr. Park. It contained records of Earth's history, every disaster, every challenge, every triumph that had shaped humanity. This is our gift to you, she said, placing the crystal on the floor. Not our ability to respawn, but our understanding of why change and challenge are necessary. We offer you something your perfect worlds never could, the chance to grow stronger through adversity. The council chamber fell silent. Nam could see the conflict in their expressions. These perfect beings had to make an imperfect choice: continue a war they now knew they couldn't win, or accept that their perfect universe needed to change. We will consider your words, the head counselor finally said. Nam nodded, knowing she had succeeded where 843 previous attempts had failed. She had shown the Harmony something they had never seen before, a species that had turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength. Dr. Park Ji-ho stood at the window of the newly built Earth Harmony Exchange Center, watching ships from across the galaxy land and take off. 1 year had passed since Ambassador Nam's successful meeting with the Harmony Council. The war that had started with his first death was finally over. Commander Kim Tae-ri joined him at the window. She had changed since those early days when they first discovered the respawn ability. They all had. The latest reports from the joint research teams are interesting, Kim said, handing him a tablet. The Harmony scientists are finally starting to understand why their perfect worlds were holding them back. Park nodded, reading the data. They're learning to appreciate imperfection, he said. Some of them have even volunteered to live on Earth, to experience what they call controlled adversity. A group of aliens walked past them in the corridor, led by Dr. Kang. These weren't the fearful, rigid beings they had first encountered. These aliens moved with new curiosity, asking questions, wanting to understand how Earth's challenges had shaped humanity. Did you ever think, Kim asked, when you died that first time in your lab, that it would end like this? Park smiled, remembering that night when everything changed. No, he admitted. I thought we were doomed. I never imagined our greatest weakness would become our greatest strength. They walked together to the main conference room, where Ambassador Nam was meeting with representatives from both human and alien worlds. The room showed a perfect blend of both cultures, the aliens' love of order mixed with human adaptability. The Harmony has officially recognized Earth as a crucible world, Nam was saying. They now understand that planets like ours are essential for the galaxy's growth. Our hardships create strength. Our challenges foster innovation. One of the alien representatives stood up. We have learned much from humanity. It said, its perfect features showing new expressions that would have been impossible a year ago. You have taught us that perfection without growth is stagnation. Park and Kim took their seats at the table. On screens around the room, they could see other worlds where the changes were spreading. Species that had once feared Earth's harsh environment were now sending volunteers to study there. The universe was learning to embrace imperfection. The respawn ability remains unique to humans, Dr. Kang reported from her position at the table. But the lesson it taught us is universal. Life must face challenges to grow stronger. Ambassador Nam activated a holographic display showing the new galactic treaty. The terms are simple, she explained. Earth will share its knowledge of adaptation and growth. In return, the Harmony will share its technology and help us explore the galaxy. Together, we will find a balance between perfection and progress. The aliens around the table nodded in agreement. They had learned that their fear of humanity's difference had nearly cost them everything. Now that same difference was teaching them how to evolve. There's one more thing, Park said, standing up. Our research shows that the respawn ability is still evolving. We're learning new aspects of it every day, but we've all agreed to use it responsibly to help life grow stronger across the galaxy. As the meeting continued, Park looked around the room at humans and aliens working together. Death had taught humanity its greatest lesson, that every end could be a new beginning. Now they were teaching that lesson to the rest of the galaxy. The perfect beings from perfect worlds had learned to embrace imperfection, and humanity, the Deathworlders who kept coming back stronger, had found their place in the universe, not as conquerors, but as teachers, showing the galaxy that true strength comes from overcoming challenges.